Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Senator John Curtis.
Hello, Amy. Good to be with you. Hello.
Great to be you.
Great to be me. Yes.
Yes, it is great to be you. It is also great that the government is back open. How does it feel?
You would think that that would just be something that would happen and it wouldn't be something to celebrate. But thank goodness, after a very, very long time, we are officially paying our employees.
It's not a record that you want to break again, I'm guessing.
It's a terrible thing. It's just, there's nothing good about it.
You have ambition, though, beyond just keeping Congress running. You actually want to pass laws, as one would when they go to the Senate. And you have a couple of bills percolating now that are very relevant to the crowd here today. Bipartisan forestry bill that your staff tells me is also kind of a permitting bill.
It is.
We heard from Chris a moment ago about how that's so important coming from the federal level. And you also have a fusion bill. So tell us about those bills. Do you think they're going to pass Congress now that it's open again?
So they're in two kind of different phases. It's Fix Our Forest is the name of the bill, and it is what I would call very mature. We have two Republican sponsors, two Democrat sponsors. It's been through committee, it's been through markup, it's ready to go to the Senate floor. So that's really, really very close. It came through committee with a clearly bipartisan vote. And so we hope in the next few weeks to get a vote on that. It's tough. It's one of the things about the Senate. We don't vote a lot. It gets into the weeds about our rules. But that
kind of hits your wagon to whatever's passing.
Yeah, that certainly helps. But you're right, there are some provisions in there, particularly dealing with the legal aspect of this that are transformational and will help with permitting reform. And there's a lot of ties to energy as well with these forest fires, so we're really excited about it. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, and what about fusion? I have a deeper question on that in a moment, but and this is also bipartisan.
It is, and this is what I would say at the beginning of the process, right? It hasn't gone through that whole system, so this one's going to take us a little while, but equally important, and something that we've got to have our eye on as we move to this energy future. We're not going to get there without doing lots and lots of this.
We talked earlier about how Utah has one of the lowest electricity rates in the country. How concerned are you that that could change as load growth from AI data centers and other factors proliferate across the state?
I think we should all be very concerned. And I am pleased with what I would call a little bit of a trend with AI, which is feeling like they got to be responsible for their own energy, if that makes sense, because somehow bifurcating us as consumers of electricity for our homes and things like that. And this AI is really important because the business model of AI can support much higher prices. And so if we put our consumers on that same trajectory, that's really unsustainable for a number of people.
That's really interesting. Can you do one more beat on this idea that electricity prices, hyperscalers like Google, can actually afford these higher prices? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so listen, when you can afford to reopen a nuclear plant and that works with your business model, there's a reason that utilities didn't reopen that. It doesn't work with what people can pay for utilities. And so clearly the business model around AI, the cost of power is substantial, but it's a piece of their overall puzzle, right? And
a small piece of their overall puzzle.
Yeah,
a big piece to maybe our own electricity bills, but a very big, small one too.
And so if that goes up in price, it's still profitable for them to do what they want to do. And so if we tie all of our consumers to that same model, they're not game for that, and nor should they be, quite frankly.
Right, and the hyperscalers are in many cases taking that on their own.
Yeah, and that's like I say, it's a trend that I think they're starting to realize, look, if we're going to have power, we cannot depend on the local utility, just from a timing perspective, but also just from a resource perspective for a lot of reasons. They've got to grab this themselves.
So I understand that recent state laws have actually mandated that coal plants stay open for affordability and reliability reasons. But at the same time, we talked earlier with Chris about how coal plants are actually becoming more expensive to operate. And there's a fire underground at a coal mine here in the state, which I'm sure you know about, but I just learned about. Do you think these types of laws mandating coal plants stay open are still necessary if they're increasing costs?
Sometimes I think we overcomplicate this. And what I mean by that is the market is far more powerful than actually government legislation. And the market for some time has been driving three factors that I talk about a lot. It's driving affordability, it's driving reliability, and it's driving cleanliness. And I think if we're honest, Republicans kind of leaned into affordability and reliability and ignored clean. And I think that was a mistake. And I think if we're honest, my Democratic colleagues kind of leaned into clean and abandoned affordable and reliable. And that too has been a mistake. And I really think the market is going to drive this. And so even in coal, it wants that coal to be as clean as possible, right? And right now we're in this environment, quite frankly, where every electron is needed. And I don't think we have the luxury of totally closing off any category, renewables or otherwise, right? And let the market work and let the technology work. We've got carbon sequestration and direct air capture and things like that. And I actually really think in the not too distant future, we'll be using some of these fossil fuels at net zero because the market's demanding that. And innovation is also kicking in as well.
So you've hosted a conservative climate summit here in Utah for 4 years running.
Shocking, right?
I know. Quick raise of hands. Who here knows about the summit or has even attended it? Okay, so we have a pretty informed audience. If you didn't raise your hand,
you all, by the way, make me very happy. Those that didn't raise your hand, we got to talk, but you're invited next year.
You just have to invite them,
yes,
Senator.
You're all invited.
Yeah. So this is part of the Conservative Climate Caucus that you launched in 2021 as a member of the House. Why do you think that you're out in front on this issue when most Republicans are, in fact, the opposite?
Yeah, so first of all, I'll push back a little bit. I think there are some very loud Republicans that are opposite. I think there's some are extreme, but I think the fact that we're having a conservative climate summit in Utah for 4 years, and anybody that was there know that it was close to standing room only, and we had legislators, and we had policymakers, and we had business people, and we had concerned citizens all coming because they know that deep in, planted in every human being is a desire to leave the earth better than we found it. And I think we have tripped up not so much in that, but the way that we talk about it. And I think we've put people in a place where they push back because we make them uncomfortable, and we've got to change that narrative. Everybody should feel comfortable in this conversation of leaving the earth better than we found it. It should not be political, right? It should just be something that we strive for. And like I say, I think the market has this figured out and is taking us there actually rather quickly.
So you talk about loud voices, and then the implication is that there's some quiet voices talking about this issue as well. You know, you've been in Congress in various positions for quite some time. I've been covering this beat for almost 20 years now. Republicans have been pretty quiet on this issue for a very long time.
Yeah, that's fair.
What's the holdup?
First of all, let's go back to the 70s, before you were born. I was not, but you know, clean air, clean water, EPA. This was all much within our wheelhouse as Republicans. And then we went through this period of time where we pushed back. And I think, you know, I don't want to blame anybody, but I think the reality of it is that the environment that was created around this turned Republicans off. It was, you know, quite frankly, an environment of shaming. You can never do enough. No matter how much you do, you're a bad person. It was an environment where you were asked to do impractical things. And it was an environment where we were asked to make sacrifices here in the United States to kill our economy and turn a blind eye to China and India and things like that. And so when that was pushed back, it felt like we were pushing back on leaving the earth better than we found it. And it was really a call or just a plea to have a reasonable conversation. And what I'm really pleased about is I think we're entering that environment. This document from Bill Gates is astounding, right? And I think what you're hearing is, let's be practical. Let's make good decisions. And if we do, it will reduce emissions. It will fuel our economy. Those two don't have to be mutually exclusive. We can be energy dominant in the United States and reduce emissions. And that is a conversation that both Republicans and Democrats should really get excited about and jump into. And I think if we could do that, we'll make this a nonpartisan issue, and we'll make much better decisions.
So the Energy Secretary, Chris Wright, was at your summit a few weeks ago. How can you make progress on some clean energy that we've already talked about this morning, like fusion and geothermal, even when this administration pretty roundly dismisses climate change as a problem.
So here again, the way we talk about things matters. And sure, I would love the administration to talk about this in a different way. And I think if we're honest, we do have a bent right now against wind and solar that is unfortunate coming from the administration. But the other signals are not. You know, nuclear, battery storage, geothermal, right? All of those things are in a really good place. And quite frankly, I think that's one of my jobs, is to navigate that dialogue and you know, tamp down, right, the things that are just not right or not realistic. You know, I heard you talking earlier about, you know, how we move forward, and I guess it was with Rick, and I couldn't help but thinking, like, what we say as a government sends signals to the market that matter, and we have to be far more careful. So quite frankly, on both sides, if you close down the Keystone Pipeline, of course prices are going to go up even before the impact of that really hits the market, because it's sending the signals. If you shut down wind and solar projects, that's sending signals to the market. Investors are going to go to the sidelines. They're uncertain, even outside of wind and solar, right, what's going to happen. And I think one of the things that I've got to do and got to get the administration to do is just be far more clear about, we want to be energy dominant. Every electron matters, and clean matters, affordability matters, reliability matters, and that's what we're going to pursue with a vengeance. And we're going to be the best in the world at it.
So speaking of the world, I understand that you were planning to go to the United Nations climate conference that's underway now in Belém, Brazil, before the government shutdown distracted you, rightly so. To world leaders and others, thousands, tens of thousands of people gathering there now, what's your message to them from America on these topics when you see the comments that some of you may have seen, that President Trump, during the UN General Assembly earlier this year, had a pretty long speech that included some interesting comments criticizing the effort on climate change. So what's your message to the world when that's coming from the president?
I think we need to be bolder about bragging about our success. Over the last dozen or even 15 years, the United States has reduced more carbon than the next 10 carbon-reducing countries combined. We should not be ashamed to go and shout from the housetops, right? Like this, we're in, and we make a difference, and our innovation and the way we do things is actually doing more for reducing emissions around the world than any of you, all of you combined. And I feel like sometimes we take this apologetic approach. Can we do better? Of course we can do better. Are we making mistakes? Of course we're making mistakes. But we don't need to go with our tail between our legs. And so one of the reasons I've gone over the last, I missed the last 2 years for a couple of reasons, but I've gone to the 3 before, is I want somebody there, from a conservative perspective, giving our suggestions, and I'll give you a really good example why that's important. The first year I went, nuclear was a bad word, right? And I was able to, and I'm not going to say I turned the tide, but I'm one tiny little voice right in there saying, wait a minute, you got to be thinking about nuclear. Well, today it's totally embraced, right, by the world as a clean option. Affordable is working on that issue, but reliable and clean. And when we're not there, right, then we make mistakes. And so I think conservatives and Americans need to be there, and we need to be bold and not apologetic, and at the same time realize and admit the things that we can be doing better. That's, if I were king for a day, that's what I'd go do.
Yeah, the shift on nuclear power at those UN climate talks, I completely agree with you, Senator. It's been a complete 180. It's now a central part of the conversation, in a positive way.
Well, there's no, and this is what was the aha moment, is there is no way to get to a clean future without it.
So we are nearing our time together, the end of our time together, Senator. So I do want to pivot to our lightning round.
Okay, so let me be clear. I get to ask questions too?
Oh, only if we have time, but we might run out of time. So.
Okay, all right, Bring it on. I'm ready.
Okay.
Bring it on.
What are, and you just have to answer with one word or one number. So I'll have to interrupt you if you don't, Senator. But okay. I think you know how to.
For a politician, you know how incredibly hard that is.
Oh, very, very hard. But I'm up for the challenge. Okay, what are the percentage odds of Congress passing any type of permitting reform, including your bill, by the end of the year?
99.9.
Really, by the end of the year?
Well, if you put my bill in there now, but it's overall permit, I'm going more than one word.
That's okay. What about putting your bill aside, what are the chances of Congress ever passing a big permitting bill?
They are higher than not.
Okay, I'll take it. What are the percentage odds of fusion coming online commercially ever?
Yes.
That wasn't the rules. You have to choose a percent.
A percentage.
Between 0 and 100%.
Is high.
High. Okay, what about by 2030?
Sure. I get one word, right?
Microsoft is actually trying to do this by 2028, so that's a real question.
Yeah.
Okay, final, would you rather?
Okay.
Would you rather live forever in Utah summer or winter?
Oh, this is so easy. Look, the older you get, the more you hate winters in Utah. And even though you love skiing, you can't beat our summers.
Are you going to move to Scottsdale?
Oh, heavens no. No.
Okay, would you rather change the past or see the future?
Oh, you got to go for the future.
Okay, well, with that, thank you, Senator,
Thanks, Amy.
for your time
hey,
today.
Thanks to all of you. It's great to be with you. Yeah.